What's going on, my beautiful governors? Welcome to any Rise of Kingdoms video. Just like we did for archers 2 days ago, I released a video, should you main cavalry in 2024? So today we are going to I'm going to walk you through every single cavalry equipment that you should craft in each stage of your game. As you can see, we have an extra tier, Avoid. I just wanted to add this to show you guys the equipment, regardless of its rarity, you should completely avoid, you should not craft. And then we have early game, early to mid, mid game, mid to late, late game, and finally, end game. Now, if you watched the video we released on Friday, you should know that I love Cavalry gear in pretty much every stage of the game. In my opinion, they have insanely powerful, non-legendary value for money equipment, and also their endgame gear is pretty crazy. And in addition to that archer video, I will also give you guys an equipment set that is good enough. What I mean by that, even if you're in the end game, you don't have to complete the whole set. There's a set of equipment when you combine all of them together, I think is just good enough even in the late game. So what you can do is, instead of spending all those materials for complete your end game set, you can, let's say, stop right there and start working on your second cavalry equipment. And once you are finished with both, then you can push for the end game equipment for both of your marches. Now, without further ado, let's start with the white ones. 2 white pieces for cavalry, coarse breeches, 3% cav attack, not bad. But this one, sharp longsword, cav defense 5%, that's pretty good. However, let's be honest, you're not going to be using white equipment for a long time, because even if you're a complete free-to-play, it's not going to take much until you transition into the green ones. But just for the sake of the tier list, let's put these two into the mix. And the funny thing is, the problem with these 2 white pieces is that the greens that we are going to craft is exactly for the same slots. Vanguard's Halberd and Vanguard's Greaves. These two, when they're combined together, are insane. Vanguard Halberd gives you 9% defensive cavalry stats, 5% defense, 4% health, and when you combine it with the Greaves, it gives you another 5% cavalry stats. And since they're a 2 pieces set, when you put them together on a march, on top of all those stats that you're going to get, it will also give us another 2% bonus. So when you get these 2 green equipment with special talent, which shouldn't be hard because they are green advanced equipment, so you will be easily getting the blueprints, so you can just dismantle and craft again until you get a special talent. Like, you are going to be using them for a very, very long time, and you will see exactly how long we are going to be using these 2 green equipment pieces just in a moment. For helm, we are going to go for Helm of Fear. It's not the best because it gives cavalry attack, but at the moment we are still in the early game section, so until we get our hands on better equipment, this helm will do the job. For chest, Milanese plate, I really like it, 4% cavalry defense. We will of course use bronze bracers and edge boots for only 1% cavalry attack. I mean, it's okay if you don't even want to craft this, but it's better than walking around barefooted. So, this is our early game cavalry equipment. Until your first KVK, other than Vanguard set, these 2 pieces, you will most likely upgrade these 4. And now let's talk about what are the possible upgrades. We will still be using Vanguard Halberd and Vanguard Greaves even in the early to mid game. And the first green equipment that I would upgrade would definitely be the boots, because edge boots, as you can see, only gives us 1% cavalry stat, and it is sadly attack. And when we upgrade it to windswept boots, not only we are getting extra march speed, but also 2.5% cavalry health. Is going to be a really nice upgrade. And then normally I would immediately look for upgrading my Helm of the Fear to Expedition War Helm, because this item, one of the best blue pieces in the game, 6% cav defense when you get the special talented, even more defensive stats. However, since we already have 1 pieces from the windswept set, why not get the 2 pieces as soon as possible, so we can also benefit from this 2 pieces bonus extra troop attack. And for the helm slot, since we are going to craft an Expedition War Helm instead of the windswept helm, we technically have 2 options. Either upgrading our bronze bracers to windswept bracers, which is going to be, instead of 2.5% cav defense, march speed plus 2.5% cavalry health, or we can upgrade Milanese plate to windswept breastplate for extra 0.5% of stats on top of the march speed, of course. So the difference between the both upgrade options are not that massive. What I'm going to do is I will probably just craft whichever item is cheaper. As you can see, only 40 blue materials compared to 60. So we are going to craft a windswept bracers, and it's going to complete our 2 pieces windswept set for extra bonus. And then I will immediately upgrade my Helm of Fear to an Expedition War Helm. This blue weapon, Blazing Axe, I would certainly avoid it. Like special talented Vanguard Halberd with Vanguard Greaves is just so good. Again, since we crafted an Expedition Warhelm, we are avoiding the Windswept Helm. And then if you just have the extra materials, instead of using a Millennius Plate, of course, even though it is going to be 3 pieces, which means it's not going to give you any extra set bonus, but still, Windswept Breastplate will give you extra 0.5% defense and also, of course, 3% march speed. So it's pretty good. If you have the materials, as I said, you can certainly use this set in your early to mid game. Now we are in the mid game. This means we are going to be crafting some epics for our cavalry marches. I'm going to start with this one. I would definitely avoid this item. Expedition Warhelm. You will most likely get it with a special talent since it's a blue. The first item that I would upgrade from blue to an epic would be a Dark Lord's Blessing, because we will still be using our Vanguard Halberd, we will still be using our Vanguard Greaves. Of course, I'm assuming that these two are special talented, and as I said, we will still be using our Expedition Warhelm. So we have 3 options to upgrade. The reason why I'm choosing to upgrade Dark Lord's Blessing is because I said Sufferance gives us 6% of stats instead of, what's that, 2.5% health and march speed. However, half of this 6% is cavalry attack. I know in Pre-Season of Conquest, attack is not actually that bad. However, still, I will be looking for upgrading my chest piece to Dark Lord's Blessing for extra cavalry defense. But honestly, the order between these 2 items is not that important because you're going to craft them back to back. If you craft the glows first and then you are going to craft a Dark Lord's Blessing, if you craft the Dark Lord's Blessing first, and after that you are going to be crafting Ice-Set Sufferance anyway, so as I said, the order doesn't really matter. And finally, we are going to use Cloud Racers. Now, if we compare Windswept Boots to Cloud Racers, this gives cavalry health and this gives cavalry attack. The reason why I'm upgrading this to this, even though this one gives attack, is because we already got rid of our Windswept pieces, so this is technically the only Windswept equipment that is left in the set. So I'm looking to upgrade it because I'm not getting the benefit from the set bonus, and even though this one gives us attack, definitely this is not a priority craft or anything, but still better than Windswept Boots. And this is going to be our mid game unless, here is the unless. Now, at this stage, we might get rid of Vanguard Halberd and Vanguard Greaves if you can get a special talent on your Heart of the Saint, because if you can, this cavalry defense, let me see, I think it's 17%. Yeah, it goes to all the way to 17%. And if you also get the Gladiator with a special talent, this means you can also get rid of the Vanguard Greaves and start using this set in the mid game for your cavalry marches. And I think this set is really powerful. It is the second powerful set when it comes to epics, because let's be honest, the most powerful one is going to be the archer ones, because archers do have the revival set, the only PvP set, because we also have this epic set. But this one is the only PvP epic set in the game, which gives you a lot of extra bonuses. But after this one, I think this set right here is super strong. Now we're in the mid to late game. This means we are going to start crafting some legendaries. But which legendaries should we craft first? The answer is pretty obvious in my opinion. You definitely want to get rid of this Cloud Racers, which is giving you 5.5% cavalry attack, and upgrade it to Boots of the Hellish Wasteland, 7.5% cavalry health. In my opinion, this should be your first priority. And then, even though I really like Dark Lord's Blessing, I would certainly look for crafting a heavy armor of the Hellish Wasteland, because not only we are now, instead of getting like 8% defense, we are getting health. Well, technically there's a high chance that you can get the special talented, so it's going to give you equal amount of stats, but instead of defense, you are getting health. But also, we are going to get 2 pieces extra 3% health bonus because we already have the boots, and we are going to complete our 2 pieces set with the chest heavy armor of the Hellish Wasteland, and it's going to boost the health of our march massively. After this one, I will still be using my Expedition Warhelm, I will still be using my weapon and my Gladiator, because the reason why I'm still using Gladiator is, yes, Ash of the Dawn is obviously better because Gladiator gives you 8% and Ash of the Dawn gives you 12%. But just like I said with Dark Lord's Blessing, is that there is a high chance that in the late game you will have this item special talented. This means it's going to give you almost the same stats with an Ash of the Dawn. Of course, since Ash of the Dawn is a legendary item, you can put Iconic on it. However, still, if you compare the number of materials that you need to be using, I don't think that this is a massive upgrade. So I'm definitely okay with using my Gladiator and Heart of the Saint and also Expedition Warhelm. And my last upgrade to boost the health even more will of course is going to be a Navarre's Control. I said Sufferance, really good, like 6% of stats, but we have attack in it. Navarre's Control, like straight up cavalry health. And the good thing about Navarre's Control is that the blueprint is coming from the equipment keys, which means it's going to be a lot easier for you to craft this legendary. And this, in my opinion, even if you don't have Navarre's Control, even with an I said Sufferance, this is a good enough set even in the late game, in my opinion, for your cavalry marches. This is the set that I was talking about at the start of the video. If you completed these 6 pieces and you have your blue and epics, of course, special talented, and let's say now you have a secondary cavalry march, instead of pushing that one march, the first march for the late game gear or the end game gear, I think you should craft the same gear for your secondary march as well, and then push them for the late game and the end game. I think this is good enough, and you will get really nice reports as long as you are using the right commanders, because like, let's be honest, this equipment is just giving you so much defense, so much health with really decent number of materials. We only have 2 legendaries and one of them is the boots, so the whole set is not going to cost you much, but the return is going to be massive. But of course, if you want to make it better, you can just put a Navarre's Control instead of I said Sufferance. And now we are transitioning from mid to late to the late game, meaning that we are going to be crafting more legendaries. Let's put our 3 legendaries right here. And one of the upgrades is, of course, I mean, in the late game, is going to be upgrading our Expedition Warhelm. However, we are not going to be using the helm from the set. I mean, we have been using this blue piece for a very long time. So it's only fair if we upgrade it straight up to a KVK item. Pride of Khan, 15%. It's insane. 15% cavalry defense. I think it's going to be a huge upgrade for your march. And then we will be looking to upgrade our gladiator finally to Ash of the Dawn because of the reasons that I've already explained. Even though you don't get the special talented and it's giving you almost the same stat with gladiator, you can put iconic and start getting these extra iconic benefits. When you just apply iconic crystal, you don't need to upgrade it. Immediately you will start getting that cavalry base health +3, and I think you're going to feel the difference. However, the gladiator was just so good, we had to wait until the late game to craft our Ash of the Dawn. And our weapon is still a Heart of the Saint, assuming that it is special talented. It's going to give us 17% of cavalry defense, and the only upgrade to this in the end game, let's move everything to the end game, is of course going to be a Sacred Dominion. Yes, I know this item is giving you attack, however, like it is 25%, like the sheer number of the stats that is providing. And also, just like Ash of the Dawn, since it is also a legendary, you can apply the iconic and start getting extra iconic benefits. But a special talented Heart of the Saint is just so good, you only craft your Sacred Dominion at the end game. Like, this is going to probably be very last upgrade to your cavalry set, and these 6 pieces is going to be your end game cavalry set, just like I have it on my Hao Chiu Bing. But of course you cannot see it because of the tier list. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. Boom, there we go. We have Ash of the Dawn, we have 2 pieces from the cavalry set, boots and the chest, 2 regular pieces that are coming from the keys, and 2 KVK pieces, Pride of Khan and Sacred Dominion. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be your endgame goal. For accessories, unless you are using a specific march for other reasons, your accessories is always going to be a Ring of Doom and Horn of Fury. And when I say specific reasons, for example, my Attila and Takeda, since they're extremely tanky, I just put my debuff accessories on them because they don't get targeted. Even if they do, they don't die very fast, which means they will be applying debuffs non-stop for the longest amount of time. Because let's be honest, if I put it on Ho Chu Bing and William, they will probably die before they can apply the debuffs for the 2nd time or the 3rd time. So that's why, like, this is only, as I said, if you are using a specific march for only debuff reasons. But other than that, Ring of Doom and Horn of Fury basically for your every single cavalry march. And of course, all these legendaries go into the avoid section, in my opinion. They're not worth crafting. Don't get me wrong, the helm piece for the set, for cavalry set, is not that bad. Cav defense 11%, or the weapon, it's not that worse compared to Sacred Dominion, only 5% of stats. But to me, if I craft a legendary, I definitely want it to be the best of the best, like hands down the best in slot. I don't want a placeholder for my legendaries, because the thing is, when you dismantle your legendaries, you don't get full materials back, you only get half of the materials. So you never want to actually dismantle a legendary, and that's why when you craft a legendary equipment in Rise of Kingdoms, you want it to be the best of the best. Hope you guys liked it, hope you guys enjoyed it. The infantry version is on the way in the next week. Make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss it. I see you on the next one. Goodbye.